Namaste. In today's video, I'm going to talk about a special mystical phenomenon which we witness in Indian temples where the deity takes possession of the devotee and the deity is using the devotee as a channel to communicate with the local people, to send the blessings to the local people, to receive the devotion of the local people. And these type of phenomenon, they happen across the world. Sometimes the person who is, you can call the person an oracle or somebody who can channel the deities or entities presence energy, the entity's communication to everybody around them. This person becomes a medium, an instrument. So they could be channeling some higher powerful entity, a wise soul. They could be channeling a particular elemental energy, the nature gods, the water spirits, the jungle spirits, the animal spirits. There are many different types of spirits, especially in and around the forest areas and where water is there in abundance. You will see a lot of these spirits there. And these spirits can communicate to humans if they want to. And this happens when the humans focus their attention on the spirit. They understand that the spirit is there, and this spirit can be as a guardian, or it can be a guide, it can be a healer. The spirit can even protect the local resources, and it can keep the human connectivity in that area intact, in the sense that people in that area will not fight with each other. There is a kind of sense of being in unity with each other and with the nature around them. So in a way, the deity or the spirit is protecting the area, the people, and the connection that is there at various levels in that locality. Here I'm talking about the genuine ones because they are rare and few. Mostly people can put up a drama of channeling an entity because it can get them into everybody's attention. They can become famous. They have certain motives. For various reasons, people can even enact this entire scenario. But generally, you will notice that when there is the festival going on, especially in forest areas where there are a lot of water bodies, the tribal people and even the people who live in and around the forest, they experience the phenomenon even more than others. And the reason being that in that forest, there are certain nature spirits, certain water spirits, certain types of protective energies. And these energies, they basically function or prefer to live in area where there is more water. That is what I have noticed. So when somebody in that region attains a level of spiritual evolution, they understand the presence of these deities. These deities, they're given special status at the village level or at the tribal level. There are temples that are built around these deities. They have different names in different locations, and they are prayed to with a lot of devotion, and they're seen as the guardian force, as the healer, as the force that can help them spiritually evolve or guide them. So certain festivals are there that surround the deity on certain special days, especially when the moon is strong or when the full moon is there. You have certain rituals or certain festivals that happen. When these festivals happen, the environment is highly charged, and the reason why it is highly charged is because a human thought, especially a human thought which is linked to devotion, which is linked to gratitude, which is linked to a kind of love, a kind of good intention, When this thought is sent towards an object, towards a person or a deity, the person is releasing a lot of vibrational energy there. Human thought has electrical charge. It has about 20 to 30 millivolts electrical charge. When you take it as an individual, the charge amount is less. But then when you look at it at a mass level, where there are thousands of or lakhs of people present at the festival, and all of them are looking towards the deity with a very high respect, the entire environment is charged. Apart from that, there are lamps, they are the flowers, the incense, the food, the colorful decorations, everything there, the rituals, the mantra chanting, the dance that happens there. People are on empty stomach, fasting, they're chanting mantras, they are in trance, they are singing hymns in praise of the deity. When all these things are happening, the atmosphere is highly charged. In the same way, when people send negative intention, when people send as a group, when they send a lot of negative intention towards a particular person or towards a particular family, that family gets impacted negatively. When everybody is looking at them with hatred, with anger, when somebody wants to inflict fear in the other person, they want to harm the person, and when this intention is at a group level and the group level is sending very bad intentions or bad vibes towards a person or the family, you will notice that the person's life takes a turn, and a lot of bad events start happening in that person or in that family. That is the effect of the intention of the people's thoughts, thought constructs at large. They can affect a person, and the intensity of that emotion that is attached to that thought, when it is sent in a particular direction, and that too when it is done collectively, it has a big vibrational charge. And then this charge, when it is sent to a particular deity, to a particular form of God, it could be the forest spirits, it could be the territorial spirits. For example, in India, in every village, we have the Grama Devata. Grama Devata is the village deity. This village deity, she overlooks the welfare of everybody in the village. She has healing power. So when somebody would get sick in earlier days, they would take the person to the village deity to be healed. And then there are the guardian deities. The guardian deities guard the forest, they guard the resources of the forest. So when somebody comes and when they are destroying the forest, they have to face the curse of the force, the divine force that is protecting the forest. So when somebody has reached a certain level in the spiritual evolution, they can actually feel the presence of these deities in and around them when they are in that particular area. So somebody who has felt their energy, and these spirits even communicate through dreams. So people have a lot of faith in these deities and these spirits, and then there are annual festivals that are held, and thousands or lakhs of people come to these festivals and they pray to these deities. Here what happens is, in this scenario, which is very highly charged with all that paraphernalia which I spoke about, if there's somebody who's very sensitive to energies in that particular group, this is the kind of person who is not living life from the root chakra. People who are caught up in survival issues, who are living life from fight or flight mode, they're basically living life in their belief systems. Very rigid ego structures have caught hold of them. They're not questioning life. They are behind material things. So most people live their life like this. They're not questioning their world, the reality, or they're not questioning themselves. When somebody is living life like this, what happens is most of their life force is going, or it's getting diverted towards their survival issues or fitting in. So what happens here is that person is like that instrument which is not properly tuned. The nervous system is not developed enough to be able to channel the energy of higher power. It is only when a person starts questioning life, they've had many lifetimes, they are an old soul, and they're sensitive. They're sensitive to energies. They are like that fine tuned instrument. Their nervous system is ready to connect with higher divine energies. Such people are generally few. And because of their heightened sensitivity, these people become an amazing channel for the deity. The deity comes on to this person, and the deity starts talking to everybody around. The deity is using this person's body and mind as a vehicle of its consciousness. And through this person, the deity starts communicating with everybody that are present at the festival. The deity here is not only connecting with the people, it is creating a unity in the people there, because everybody there will heed the words of the deity. Apart from that, the deity is even sending out blessings, it is sending out its healing powers so that everybody who's present there will benefit by her presence. Or the generally the territorial spirits are the masculine spirits, and the nature spirits are generally the feminine spirits. Now, we have this kind of an understanding even in the Western world. I think these people are called the oracle, where they can channel higher entities, higher wisdom through them. They can foresee the future, and they can bring in guidance from a higher level. So this is something like that. But here it is the deity that is communicating with its people. The deity sees the people as its own children. So this is a common scene, especially in the southern part of India, where certain rituals and practices are done, and the person becomes a channel or vehicle to the divine presence. Now, the person who can channel the deity's energy is the kind of person who's sensitive, like I just said, and this person is not ruled by the survival issues that are there at the level of the Muladhara chakra. They have transcended that to some extent. The Swadhisthana chakra, that is the sacral chakra, or the water element in the sacral chakra, that is activated in this person. The Swadhisthana chakra, it is the chakra that is linked to your sexuality, your emotional body, your subconscious mind. It is linked to your ability to communicate with yourself, with everybody around you, and even your ability to communicate with other dimensional beings. It all comes from here. So the Swadhisthana chakra is in the lower belly region. That is where it is. And that is where the water element is active. So these people are mostly operating from this level. Now the Swadhisthana chakra, this is linked to Manas chakra. Manas chakra is here in this region. This is your third eye chakra. The pineal gland linked chakra, or the Agya chakra, is here. Just above it, you have the Manas chakra. What is Manas chakra? Manas means mind. So it is the mind chakra. Mind is always described or connected with the water element. So the same water element which is there at the Swadhisthana chakra level is present at this level. So this is the higher level of the water element within you. And the deities are using this Manas chakra to use this person as a vehicle of their consciousness. They're able to communicate through that area. And that is, if you have to understand where it is present at the physical body, it is your thalamus. The thalamus is linked to the sacral region, and it is the water element that is present here at the thalamus level and at the sacral chakra region level. And when the thalamus gets activated at some point in the spiritual awakening process, we start hearing voices of a kind of telepathic connection. You will hear the voices of deities. Many can communicate with otherworldly beings, some channel some higher forms of energy, even the lower entities, the astral entities which can cause harm, even they can be channeled, or they also can communicate with us, because water is what allows you to communicate. So your communication here is at a different level. So when a person is living from the Swadhisthana level, these people have sort of, in a way, they have given up ideas with which their family sort of holds on to. They question everything, all belief systems. They want to look within themselves, they want to change themselves. They're emotional people, sensitive people. Many of them are into arts or a kind of a creative way of thinking, and they're dealing with a lot of emotions at this level. They question the relationships. So they invest their time in understanding themselves, seeking the truth. This is where this person is. And of course, such people are few in this world. So if you take a group of 1,000 people, maybe 2 or 3 in that 1,000 people could be used as a vehicle of consciousness of this deity. So once the village festivals are over and when the deity is pleased, the deity uses one of the people there who is sensitive nervous system person as a vehicle of her consciousness, and then she starts communicating with everybody around there. So when this is happening, the person who is actually uh, experiencing this phenomenon, that is, this is the person who's channeling the deity's energy, they suddenly go into a kind of a drunken or trance-like state. Sometimes their consciousness is pushed to the background, sometimes they are not even present, and the divine entity takes on them completely. uh, they feel like they're no longer in control of their body, their voice, what their mouth is saying, how their hands and feet are moving. They're no longer in control of their body. Suddenly, the tone of the voice changes, the person's face, it gets lit up, the eyes are lit up, the aura changes, and some language or words which are foreign to the person who's actually the vehicle of the consciousness, that person is not even aware of this language or the words that the divine entity is channeling through their mouth. Their entire body becomes electrical. It is pumping huge amount of electricity because the vibration level of the deity is higher than a human body. So this person must be able to take or withstand that level of electricity pumping through their nerves. They can feel extreme coldness or extreme heat in the body. They start shaking uncontrollably, dancing, and the intensity, the aura of the intensity is very bright. Their eyes are very bright. They don't look like the real person, the everyday real person. They look totally different. They look like they have turned into a divine being. And the kind of energy signature that is getting released in that place through this person, it it if people can recognize it, people can recognize it, that is, it is no longer that human that is standing in front of them, rather the human has got possessed by the deity, and it is the deity that is expressing itself through this human body. So once the episode is over, the person becomes very weak. Many of them don't even remember what happened or what transpired when they were uh, possessed by the deity. They just fall down to the ground because of the electricity that was pumped through their body. They feel so weak. Many can take from days to weeks to recover from that episode. And once a person has this experience, this person is now deeply respected by everybody around them, because now there is somebody in their village or in their tribe whom the deity can use as a vehicle of her consciousness and communicate. So people start communicating to the deity through this person. So can everybody channel? No, not everybody can channel. Those who are caught up in survival issues, material stuff, who are caught up mostly in the root chakra issues, they cannot channel a deity. It needs somebody with a little higher state of vibration who is working upon themselves and is trying to improve every day. They are seeking inner truth. They are seeking love. They are seeking salvation, or you can call it moksha. So for them, their direction of life is now moving towards a higher level of vibration. That is what they want to do, and that is where they spend their attention or their energy. Now, when somebody has a spiritual awakening process and the water element within them gets activated, the water element gets activated when the subconscious mind opens up. When the subconscious mind opens up as part of the process, the person starts seeing numbers, they receive certain messages from the universe, synchronistic events happen in that person's life. It's like some higher force is guiding them. They are trying to question life, they want to heal, they understand the need to heal themselves. They start recalling past lives. So all these things are something that happens when somebody uh, is undergoing the spiritual awakening and their water element has got activated. So when the water element gets activated, the person can now communicate with other dimensions. Astral dimensions open up to this person. And hence, initially, when somebody undergoes the awakening, many can come face to face with astral entities. They get attacked by lower astral entities. They can meet higher beings also, beings of light also. So they have a variety of experiences. Now, here, when we are trying to become a channel, and if we are not aware whom we are channeling, sometimes we can even channel lower entities. There are people who do certain occult practices. They are using the Ouija board or some other ways of calling in certain spirits so that they can get a kind of information, or maybe they want a particular siddhi or a psychic ability. So when people are trying to do this, and when the water element is activated within them, they can easily access certain entities, the lower astral entities. But the lower astral entities, they only cause harm. So it is always advisable not to try such things, especially when your Swadhisthana chakra water element is getting activated. For somebody living in the root chakra area, or they're mostly focused on the material things, even if they try to do such things, it will not work out because the water element within them is not active. But in a spiritual awakening, first that gets activated. And when you are channeling somebody, you don't know whom you are channeling. Sometimes the lower astral entities can behave like they're from some higher dimension. And the kind of entity you are channeling, it can only give you that much of information based on how evolved it is. So just because you're channeling Some entity does not mean that that entity is a higher level entity. If that entity's knowledge is distorted or it is limited, you will get that distorted or limited information. But because it is coming from an other realm, you might think that this is the truth. So there are a lot of pitfalls in when you're channeling things. So you have to be very careful here. And the thalamus, as I said earlier, the thalamus, which gets activated at one point in the spiritual or Kundalini awakening process, this happens much later. When it starts vibrating within you, when it is getting activated within your brain, you can start communicating with your guru. You can start communicating with deities. Many hear God's word inside their head. How do they hear it? It is the thalamus that has got activated. It is your communication channel. So even telepathic communication, it happens from the thalamus. Because water element is communication. So all kinds of channeling, it could be lower entities, it could be deities. There is the entire spectrum of channeling or getting possessed by an entity or by a deity. But when the possession is coming from the deity, it is always beneficial for everybody around you, and it even is a blessing for the person who has become the vehicle of the deity's consciousness, because the deity will now help this person to evolve. But when we are channeling lower astral entities, or we get unknowingly get influenced by the lower astral entities, these entities will always take you into the wrong direction, and then we can fall away from our path, our spiritual path. It becomes easier to fall away or get diverted from it. There is an Indian movie which is made on deity possession, and this movie is called Kantara. Kantara. This movie was originally made in the language Kannada. This movie beautifully depicts how the deity possession happens. The protagonist of this movie is part of the culture where the forest deities are honored, and festivals are celebrated in honor of these guardian deities, the forest spirits, and village deities. So, one such deity, the name is Punjarli, who is a guardian deity of the forest. The protagonist's family had a history of deity possession. That is, this particular deity, Punjarli, would possess the body of the ancestors of the protagonist when this temple festival was conducted. So in lineage, this got passed down to the protagonist, but the protagonist as such was not inclined towards spiritual matters, and he kept himself away from all these things. But then, when the time arrived, the deity, the guardian deity, Punjarli, showed this protagonist these signs, and the inner call to awaken happened. So here it is shown that the protagonist dies in the physical, and the body of the protagonist is taken on by the deity, and the deity expresses itself through the physical body of the protagonist. That consciousness gets expressed through that body. In this movie, the death of the ego is shown as the physical death. We undergo ego death in the spiritual awakening process, but for a normal person, they will not understand what ego death means. So they had to show that the protagonist had to die physically so that the deity could use the protagonist's body as a vehicle of his consciousness. I have already spoken about the different stages in a spiritual awakening process in my earlier video. These are the 5 stages in the spiritual awakening process. And the spiritual awakening process is a cyclical process, and it is not a linear process. I will explain that to you right now. We experience the descension of grace. Sudden something from outside is descending upon to you. It feels like some foreign uh, matter or some foreign force or energy. Initially, it does not come to our notice, but as we advance in the spiritual path, we are able to understand that there's something coming onto us, descending onto us. And when this happens, the system, the body goes into a state of shock. That is because the ego, which is a very hard structure within us, it understands that now it will be wiped away by this energy. So it is like a shock to the physical container, because the physical container and mind were not designed to be ready to accept such higher descension of energy. And then we go through the ego death phase. And then from the ego death phase, we again resurrect, in the sense that we have died at one level of vibration and then we come back to life at a higher level of vibration. So the spiritual journey is a journey where our body vibrational level is increasing. It is a cyclical process where the sudden spiritual influx, the shock to the system, the ego death, then again you recover and then you integrate yourself at the higher energy frequency. Now, once this cycle is completed, you're operating from a higher level of energy signature. But then again, when spiritual influx of energy comes onto you, the pranic descension or Shakti path happens to you, again at a higher level, you go through the same cycle of shock to the system, ego death, resurrection, integration at a much higher level. Then again, when you stabilize at that level, again the spirit will descend upon you. Again, that cycle repeats itself. So every time you are going through the cycle, you are moving one step up in the spiritual vibration. And hence, when you are at the ego death stage, you cry, you release away a lot of deeply held beliefs, your identities, labels, your opinions, your emotions, everything is let gone, and this is a very difficult part. So in a way, you're dying at one level, and then you wake up. Once the clearing is done, you feel lighter in body and mind, and then you are at the next level of the cycle, which is the resurrection phase, where now you have risen to a higher level of frequency, and then that higher level of frequency is integrated into your physical body. So the ego death phase, this keeps on happening many times with us, and hence we change. We are not the same person. We are not the same person which we were 10 years ago. Because in this last 10 years, we could have experienced ego death maybe 6 or 7 times. So now we are a totally different person. Everything, the behaviors that were associated, that particular vibration at which you are vibrating at, all those things are done with. You tell yourself, I'm not the same person anymore. I have changed. So that happens because we undergo ego death. Now, it is difficult to explain ego death to somebody who is unawakened, because they don't understand the concept of spiritual awakening process. And hence, in this movie, the ego death was shown as the death of the person. So the protagonist's ego death is shown as his actual physical death, and then the deity descends upon the person. But in reality, when the deity possession happens, the person does not die. It is just that a part of that ego has got replaced with higher vibrational energy. In earlier civilizations, people were more sensitive, I guess, so they were aware of these energies, the divine presence of these beings around them, because they were more connected to the water, to the nature around them. They lived in harmony with everybody and with the nature, and hence they felt connected to everything, and hence they could sense the presence of these water spirits or forest spirits, or we can call them the spirit guides, or it could be your uh, animal guide, it could be the forest deity, the divine energy, higher conscious vibration that is present in that location. And to this day, in many indigenous cultures or communities, they still connect with these deities. And India is one such culture where age old traditions which date back thousands of years, they are still celebrated with the same religious fervor. And there are many other countries with different cultures, and they are also doing it, especially when they're connected to forests, water bodies, or when the spirit or the divine energy becomes a part of their uh, cultural heritage. Thank you.